Hello, I'm Paul the producer, and this is Copy Who. How are you guys doing today? I'm up early doing this today. To be honest with you, I'm not sleeping very well, and so if I wait until later in the day, I start getting very loopy. So right now I'm giving you the full wad of my energy to do this. And I might go for 45 minutes or an hour. We'll just see. I have a few clips. I have something from Def Noodles talking about 23-year-old woman who looks like an 8-year-old. I thought about just doing the TLC clip, but I actually really liked the way Dennis was talking about this. He gave a lot of food for thought, and his shtick is funny, so we'll go through that, and I will try to add layers of depth to what he does. And I have a clip, an Instagram clip from Amala from PragerU. I have an Instagram clip from Fresh and Fit, and I'm going to start out with a brief then and now with Paul Newman. And so I'm having thoughts about where I want to go with this, and I even had a thought in bed this morning that I might want to change the name of the show. And I'll keep the owl around, and I'll keep the owl logo, but I had an idea for the name, and I don't know how that fares with the YouTube algorithm. I need to slow down because I always feel like I need to go bop very fast, but I just need to take it easy and relax while I'm doing this. Not stress myself out too much. It wouldn't surprise me if I got a call this morning while I'm doing this, but I'll just put that off until after. I didn't sleep very well last night. I haven't been sleeping very well. I've been having some problems that I'm not going to get into, but it's just life, life stuff. And it's not life. It's actually abnormal life stuff. And I don't appreciate it, and yet this is my outlet. This is kind of what I'm trying to make myself feel better with, like a sense of purpose. It's why I've been so obsessed with improving everything. So these flames are going to probably go away here and be substituted by something else. I have searched far and wide on the internet to find an alternative because I'll just explain very quickly. These flames, each of these TVs has a YouTube app, and I play these screensavers off of a YouTube file. That may seem cheesy, but you're allowed to do that if you give attribution, and I think they look cool. And I've written the guy who made these, and I said, I want to buy this. Can I pay you for a license so that I can have like a file of this that I can just play off of the USB on the TV? Because if the internet goes out right now, and I still have power, this will keep recording, but that will stop. The flame will stop. So what I want to do is get those running on a USB stick. This TV behind me is a USB stick, and the TV behind this main console over here is a USB stick. And, oh, by the way, I just want to say hasta la vista to all the people who have no attention span. That's going to be my thing, to berate people. If you don't like long form stuff, if you don't want to hang out with somebody who does a longer form show, that's okay. Just go. Because I like to do the long form stuff, and I will cut the clips. And if you appreciate it and like hearing clips of certain things, that's cool too. I don't listen to Def Noodles, his whole show. I will actually just watch clips that he posts online, and that's an example. I watch a lot of clips from a lot of people. I talk all the time about Rollo Tomasi, and I don't watch his whole show, but sometimes on Sunday, when he does it, if I see it's live, I go and I listen to it, and that's when I'll hear the most of it. But I prefer shorter clips. But I'm gonna not keep blabbering on and on right now. I think we're gonna get underway. Oh, but let me first just say hello to the birds. What's up, birds? How you doing? Yeah, it's morning again. I woke you guys up to do this with me. Are you okay with that? Good. I appreciate that from you too, okay? And so without further ado, I'm going to come back here to this and say it's time to come over here. Yeah. And we will start out with this Paul Newman clip I have here. Hopefully this will be cool. I'll pull this in over here and we'll see. Oh no, hey, let's get rid of that music right there. I'm still learning this. There are still some things I'm trying to figure out technically here. The best order of operations to do cool things, and that's really cool. Gosh, I wish I could think of the name of a movie I watched recently with Paul Newman. There he is, young and old. Actually, let's look at some Paul Newman. Paul Newman movie titles. I like The Color of Money, where he's with Tom Cruise. Where's that list? Don't give me a long scrolling fucking list. You fucking assholes. I just want a list, okay? Oh, and you take me to that page again. It says more items. Okay. The Hustler HUD, Butch Cassidy, Cool Hand Luke. I watched that. That one's really good. Color of Money. The Sting was decent too. There's another one I watched recently which was really good. He played some kind of logger, and his brother dies in the movie, and his dad dies on the same day, and his wife leaves him on the same day, all on the same day. And it was a really interesting movie. I wanted to tell you guys that movie by name right now. Let's see, Paul Newman filmography. Let's go here. And it was around the early 70s, so I'm going to zoom on down to that portion of what we're looking at here, okay? And instead of like you guys feeling blind, I'm going to zoom in on that for you. 1966, 1970 were sometimes a great notion. That was it right there. The internet is amazing. A family of fierce, independent Oregon loggers struggled to keep the family business alive amidst changing times. So these guys, they have their business. Everyone wants to shut it down. And this wife is like, don't go out today. We'll make love all day long. And he's like, no, got to go out and do the logging with dad and the brother. And so they go out. The brother gets caught under a log and drowns when the tide comes in, and the dad gets killed. He loses his arm, and it's like all very sad. Very good movie, though. Had a very real sort of feeling. They would never make a movie like that these days because of the environmental people being like, no, you can't do that. So movies have certainly lost a certain sense of realness sometimes. But I want to zoom in on this. And I want to just show you Paul Newman, young and old. He was a great-looking young dude. He has a restaurant. I don't remember what it's called, but I like going there. We have one over here in Broomfield that he's presumably a part owner in. So, okay, very extremely young here. I'm thinking somebody up there like 1956. Is that what that is? It seems like it might be listed, all the stuff over here. Here he is again. Oh, yeah, this is the Greater Days. The Greater Days, what do you call it? Instagram site. And of course, they like to show guys. And I saw another naked guy's butt, and I'm like, stop it. So here we have Paul Newman with no shirt on top. Here we have Paul Newman with a super full head of hair, very young. Good looking dude. He's got those like stinging blue eyes. They are stinging. And see, that's too much already. It's like, what's with all the... Oh, and here's another one with a top off and in a shower towel. They like these provocative pics. Smoking a cigarette. Oh, these were carefree days. If you told me, Paul, you can take all your net worth in gold, all your family, and go back to live when that was, I'd be like, yeah, I think that might be a good trade. Life would still have its burdens, but not quite like the freak show we live in now. I could live without all this in that time and place. The food would be amazing. Here he is, another shirtless Paul Newman. Okay, and that's from The Sting. Don't like him as much with a mustache. Every man's different with a mustache. He should not have a mustache, is what I say. The mustache I associate more with Paul Newman being old. Not my favorite thing in the world. Paul Newman being old. You can't help it, though. None of us can help it. If you saw up close, I have all these scraggly hairs here because I'm just like, I'm not a man who shaves. Every couple weeks I go and I do a trim job and I put the towel out on the sink and a towel on the floor and do a major trim job, trim up and shave. And I wish I were a guy who had a thicker beard, and so what I lack in testosterone, I make up for in a masculine-sounding voice. Right? Right? I don't have the thick beard, but I have the masculine-sounding voice. So there are all kinds of guys who do have that soy voice. I had a video yesterday. Maybe I should play that. Where would I play that? Let me think. It's on YouTube. I put up a short, and I will play that short for you right now. as soon as I get to my YouTube page. And it's kind of funny because, you know, there was a big reaction to this yesterday. I haven't, since I've started doing this show and stuff, I have not had this kind of reaction to anything. And so here it is right here. I hope we hear it. All right. I don't have to unmute it or something.
Individuals are going to have their own experiences, and yes, I'm sure there are.
Whenever, I mean, I walk up to a man expecting to hear a macho voice, and it's like, hey, how are you? I'm expecting to be like, hey, how's it going, dude? What's up? And then you hear like, hey, hi, how are you? It seems like it's an epidemic. Hey, guys are like this. I have a soy voice.
Individuals
and so that's
are going
it.
to have their own experience.
That got like almost 2,000 views. I think we're up to around 1,800 on that. 40 some likes. 25 comments, of many of which were me responding to people commenting. People were like, it's so funny, a total dork in a beanie and glasses is making fun of a dork in glasses. And I was like, okay, I can take that kind of criticism. It wasn't too cruel, I don't think. And there's some truth to it. I have an issue with Hunter because he partly reminds me of me a little bit at his age. The naivety is gross to me. Gross, dude. What's the matter with you? I'm just sitting here reflecting on it. I haven't eaten anything yet today. It's very early in the morning. It's 7:25 a.m. And I feel like if I get this out of the way now, later on I can work on other stuff. So on to the next, okay? This is a clip from Amala. Love this young woman. She's wonderful. I will reload this for you all to hear from the... Oh, yeah. Yuval Harari. This dude right here. Son of a bitch from the World Economic Forum. He's the creepiest, and he says some of the creepiest things here.
We need to...
Name of Yuval Noah Harari, who is a contributor to the World Economic Forum, also a historian, philosopher, and an author.
Scumbag.
Total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin.
I don't want to explain what I have going on here technically, but this puts me, when I zoom in like this, the other screen zooms also, and I was trying to separate it out so I just am able to zoom on this screen, and apparently that's not possible. So when it zooms, I can't see what window I'm on over here, but when I upgrade my system, I will have like an output television where I'll be able to see what's going out to the broadcast, and with this zoom here, I will still be able to tell if I'm on the right window or not. So fucking A, dude. It's little imperfections like that do bug me.
It's corporations.
So we're starting over on this. And the sound
Paul
is
Noah
off.
Harari, who is a contributor to the World Economic Forum, also a historian, philosopher, and an author.
Total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. What we have seen So
it's the only way, now that we have the technology, we have the justification to be tyrannical with the entire world and the people. We need to monitor every aspect of your health 24/7 to stop the pandemic. I think we're fine without it, to be honest with you. Humanity survived all this way, and now you use technology as this excuse to clamp down on people. This is an excuse to just take control of everything, because you are the man who called everyone useless eaters. I think this guy is despicable, to be honest with you. I have a severe problem with this individual, and I'm not a big fan of the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is to be feared and to be stopped, to be ridiculed, to be mocked, because they want to control every aspect of our lives. And a lot of people don't even believe this. Like, I tell my dad about the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, and he's just kind of like, whatever. I've read this guy's books, and it's very strange how these criminals write books talking about what they're planning to destroy society, and these things unfold and they come true, and it's very troubling. Don't like it one bit.
It's corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase,
everything. They just want to know everything about you. Like, why should privacy matter? Why should your own personal thoughts matter? They want to know everything about you. This guy has bragged about how how they can hack into human beings completely now. He says, like, people are completely hackable now, and they can get inside of you, and they can control your thoughts, control your emotions, make you think what they want you to think, and that's part of them getting into your body, colonizing your body. You don't want to let these people do that. We are in for nightmarish times if we don't put a stop to this. Like the whole idea of liberty they're throwing down the toilet with all these contrived excuses about how, oh, we need to do it for your own good to stop the pandemic from killing you. I think I want to take my risks with nature, and I want people to stop meddling in science to try and destroy the populace. Because I was walking around the mall yesterday, and I was actually despairing a little bit because I'm thinking to myself in the mall, there's been a plan since like the day I was born that these people doing these kinds of things want to annihilate 90% of the human populace. And you can call this misinformation till you're blue in the face. You can hide it. A lot of people out here know it, that it's been my view for a while now that there's an actual war against humanity taking place. And they do it through soft kill operations, and they use psychological warfare to make you think that the things you're doing are for your own good. But I really feel like they're actually trying to kill us. And I know how there are a lot of people who would try to label me as, of course, I've been called a conspiracy theorist a million times, which is like saying I'm crazy. I know I'm not the crazy person, but truthfully, I know they're trying to label people who are speaking the truth so that they can accomplish as much of their goal and move the ball forward on their tyranny as much as they can. If people don't wake up soon, especially the American people, you're walking into a nightmare. Just like I played the clip from that new douchebag New Zealand prime minister the other day. They're going to get you. And that's what they're trying to do here. We're just at a different phase in the process, and thank God we have the Second Amendment. I'm not sorry for that at all. I do think there's a problem with a culture of violence, and a lot of people who are off their rocker for real use guns for nefarious reasons and crime, of course, like deliberate crime, robbing people, but just the sadistic mentality of people who go out and do mass shootings. It's very troubling, of course. All that's very troubling, and I think we have to address the culture behind that and stop blaming innocent people who are law-abiding gun owners, fundamentally good people who are law-abiding gun owners. Back to the remainder.
Is the surveillance going under our skin? We're now seeing mass surveillance systems established even in democratic countries, which previously rejected them. And
they're not democratic countries, though. You speak as if it's just unambiguously democratic. It's not unambiguously democratic because you've subverted these democracies. You pretend like they are still democracies when in fact they've been subverted. They've been infiltrated. In a lot of ways, it seems like they've been taken over. So he says it like, oh, people have accepted this in democratic societies. And if you've accepted it in a democratic society, it must be okay. Like as if there's no influencing of the psychology of masses going on through the media. It's just happening all the time everywhere, dude. Give me a break, homeboy. Not my homeboy. You're like a villain.
Also see a change in the nature.
Talking too much about this.
This could look like, oh, it's just people meeting, and isn't this so beautiful? We talk about unity so much. Isn't it so great to see all of these world leaders unite in one spot? But when those world leaders don't have your best interest at heart, that's
Bingo.
not such a great thing to see them all meeting in one spot and shaking hands.
In the epicenter of villainy. It's totally the Legion of Doom over there in Davos when these rich bastards get together and they decide they know what we need. Okay, I promise what's coming is a little more lighthearted stuff. I am curious. I saw this clip. I didn't even hear what he said, but this guy says some stuff about American girls, and I wanted to address that topic a little bit. So let's go. Let's reload this and undo the audio on it.
Is that American girls are way more self-entitled, self-privileged, and the level of privilege and the level of delusion, idiocracy, and stupidity is quite alarming to the point where it's actually sickening.
Truth.
And what I've noticed is...
Oh yeah, dude. So I won't spend a shit ton of time talking about this. You're darn right. American women have it built into them. This is part of the destruction of, what I think was once a much more positive and uplifting society that valued family life. I think women psychologically have been infiltrated psychologically because it's a great way to destroy family values, the homogeny that exists in a society where family is the utmost potential for what you have in greatness and strength. And it's actually very sad. I'm not going to speed through my words here. I just want to sit and think about what I'm saying. My dad, when my dad wanted to marry an American woman, my grandmother was epically opposed from what I hear. She didn't even go to their wedding, but my dad reassured my mom, like, hey, as soon as we get married, my mom's going to accept you. Don't worry about it. And she did. After that, she was always very kind to my mom, which is good, of course. I do recall they were so opposed to my dad marrying my mom that they were like, come back to Italy. We'll buy you a car. They made him some generous offers and stuff not to marry my mom. And it's like, hey, Grandma, Grandpa, do you realize my coming into existence is held in the balance? You're saying, hey, don't marry this woman who eventually becomes the mother of your 2 children. Come back to Italy. We'll buy you a car. The car is not better than me, Grandma. But I'm being silly. And I do actually feel like my interactions with my grandparents, they were always nice to me. And we always had the language gap there. My grandmother cooked gnocchi for me in 1981. My mom likes to tell that story. But yeah, okay, I'm digressing from the American women are super entitled and bratty. It's not just American women anymore. That has been exported to most Western nation states, and it's really hard to find women with old world values, and in a good way, and not in, because if I say this, suddenly the word misogyny comes to mind, and people are going to be labeling me as a woman hater. They're all like, F the patriarchy. But there was a benefit to the patriarchy for a lot of people, especially men and women who live complementary to one another. It wasn't a bad deal for everyone. Men go out and fight the wars and women get protected. And they act like they're just slaves, but you're not just slaves. I'm sorry, you're not. In a marriage situation, I actually resent it when women say, fuck the patriarchy, death to the patriarchy. The future is feminine, and that is laughable to me in this cultural environment, especially because of all the cultural upheaval. If women were the future, I don't think you'd have men dressing as women and competing with women in women's sports. I'm just saying. Is that wrong? It seems to be wrong to me. I'm pretty certain that's wrong, and you can get in a lot of trouble saying something like that, but whatever. I'm not going to pussyfoot around certain issues. I want to move on. This is a topic a little more, it's interesting and it's lighthearted. I'm not going to find myself going down a dark path talking about this, but this is a long video. It's about 16 minutes. I want to talk to most of it. It's Dennis from Def Noodles talking about a young woman named Shauna, who's 23 years old.
I'm Shauna Ray. It's my house,
I'm
my
Shauna
rules.
Ray.
Gotta go slow. I'm just like any other 22-year-old.
No, you're not. That's the first lie we've heard. You're not, because you look 8 years old. So that means you're not like every other 8-year-old.
22.
And I thought about just watching this TLC video. This is a Learning Channel video. And there she is right there. Very small stature. They'll explain why. That down there is Dennis. Is his name of his show Def Noodles, or do they call you Def? Because I just call you Dennis, dude. That's what I'm going to do. Forget that stage name. I'm calling you Dennis.
One tiny difference.
You're 21, right?
I look like an 8-year-old child.
Yes, yet another exploitive show on the Learning Channel.
Big
I don't know
time.
about you folks, but the thing that I like the most about the Learning Channel is that they somehow figured out a way to get Barnum and Bailey and
He's always got a funny take on things. And I've been saying a lot lately that I don't always agree with you, Dennis, but your delivery's funny and you do give me a lighthearted giggle now and then.
it into trash TV that you just can't look away
Barnum
from.
and Bailey
I
into
was
trash
born
TV.
with brain cancer.
Oh, yeah, and here's the sad part, okay? So here's the story. Born with brain cancer and affected her pituitary gland in her physical development. And I have things to say about that as we go, as we talk about this. Don't want to give it to you all up front. And I just want to sit here and enjoy this in the morning. I want to enjoy my morning. I'm going to read some Rollo Tomasi after I finish this morning.
Rounds of chemo, and because my pituitary gland was affected, I got stuck at 3 foot 10 inches.
Yes, folks, this entire show's premise is around a 23-year-old woman who looks like an 8-year-old trying to do regular things that a 20-something-year-old would do. In this season, this involves her learning how to drive, dating a man who has a similar condition, as well as dating a 26-year-old man who is currently getting canceled on the internet for dating her. I'm dating a 23-year-old woman who looks like an 8-year-old girl. I'm not a creep. Wait a minute, this can't...
That headline, dude. You kind of are, though. I thought extensively about this after I watched this video last night. And yeah, she looks 8. So people are going to take it like as if she is 8. The time to get a pituitary gland problem is when you're 18 to 21. And then you look at least like a young adult. And then, so imagine if you're dating a 40-year-old woman who looks 21 because her pituitary gland went haywire. And people are like, she's too young for you. And it's like, no, she's 40. And like, oh my God, I guess it's okay then. But when you look like an 8-year-old and you have that image of innocence like children do, it is disturbing. And I was thinking about this last night. Like, so a 15-year-old could look 21 because she's very developed. And people would be like, oh, no, you can't date her even though she looks like an adult. But this one looks like a child and is an adult. This inversion of circumstances is extraordinary. And let's just hear more of what Dennis has to say. I have more to say about it, and I want to save some of it so that I don't run into a million minutes today.
Be that serious. People understand that people need love, right? Like, what the hell are people even saying about the situation?
That's true.
Yes, she is 23, but she looks and talks like an 8-year-old. She also does not act like a mature woman. She is childlike, one critic claimed, according to the Mirror. Oh, wow.
Yes. I want to point that out. When you're treated like a child, you act like a child. So forget this young woman, Shauna, for a second. When parents are overly protective of a little kid for years and years, and then finally the kid goes to college and they experience freedom, they haven't been let off the leash ever, and so then they run wild. And so these parents understandably have been very protective of this young woman. It's hard for me to call her a young woman. I want to call her a girl because for all practical purposes, physically, mentally, she seems like a girl. Like, they're protective of her, so she's always she never had the chance to develop, to be more mature in this situation because there was always this protect this young child, she's endangered type of attitude with her. I have more to say about this, and I'll let Dennis keep going here.
We're actually considering him to be a pedophile. Oh.
I think there's an argument to be made that there's something weird about his attraction. She might have a glorious personality. I might like this person a lot. And as a human being, I already feel endeared to her for certain reasons because she's small and she seems sweet. But it's not attraction romantically. It's this wanting to like protect a child feeling I have. Like, she does seem vulnerable as can be. And you can't get away from the fact in this that it's a very strange, uncommon situation. And I was comparing it to dating. I was thinking about the comparison, I should say, to dating like a person who has dwarfism. You know, Peter Dinklage, he has a short stature, but he looks like a man. And I wouldn't think twice about hanging out with him in terms of like, oh, what are people thinking? I wouldn't care that if anyone had a problem with me hanging out with someone who has dwarfism. But this is a little different when you're talking about dating someone who looks like an 8-year-old, completely, totally looks like an 8-year-old. You're immediately going to be judged out in public. I need to continue with this video. I'm talking too much.
Any man or woman can honestly say that they can see her as a sexual woman. They are either lying or sick. Period. Another allegedly stated.
I can't help but feel like I identify with that statement. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve love. It's just that these circumstances are extraordinary. You look 8 years old and you're chronologically 23 years old, and there's still something about that I want to get to, but I will continue to try and we're only a minute 38 seconds in, and there's 16 more minutes to this. I need to shut up.
A third described him as creepy. Now, very clearly, the dynamics that Shauna and this man, Dan Swigart, have is something that is not relatively usual. It is unusual, to state the obvious. Obviously, it is going to trigger a lot of different feelings in different people because while Shauna does appear much younger than her 23 years of age, she is still 23 years of age, so now we have a conundrum. Because should Shauna be allowed to experience love and the same emotions that everybody experiences day in and day out?
So should she be able to? The answer is yes. Because she looks like an 8-year-old is not a reason. So it's legal. What these people are doing is legal, but you get this creepy feeling that it's like, oh, this is a free pass for pedophilia. And like, guys... It's like, I understand she's nice. I would be nice to her if I were in her company. I would be completely kind to her. She seems like a swell person, generally speaking. Still have more to say about it, though.
Humans are allowed to fall in and out of love, and she is 23 years old. Or should she be relegated to never experiencing...
She has rights. But it doesn't mean people aren't going to react a certain way because the circumstances are so out of the ordinary. Jeez Louise!
Form of love in her entire life because she looks like an 8-year-old, and every man she comes in contact with will automatically be labeled a pedophile because she looks like
you exploited man dates 8-year-old woman. See, dude, you talk about exploitation in the title of your video, which I'm not going to do today when I put this out. She's not an 8-year-old woman. It doesn't say dates 8-year-old or no, woman, 23-year-old who looks like an 8-year-old woman. You're exploiting her a little bit too, man, in the title of your fucking video. Acknowledge this. And how dare you if you don't?
And people are going to assume that they want to, in fact, fuck a person who looks like an 8-year-old legally.
You make me cringe when you say that. I'm like, ah, who wants to fuck? You have a funny way about you, sir.
Having interactions with Shauna. Or here's another option that should be immediately disregarded.
Who wants to fuck?
Because I did read this.
He's from the East, and I think his family background is that he was born in Brazil. This is a character right here. You got to decorate these walls, though, dude. What the fuck? You have a great following. You have a great personality. Decorate the walls. Be the best you can be.
Twitter reply, somebody actually
I learned that from Hunter Avallone. Be the best you can be. Decorate your walls. I'm digressing. I say digressing a lot on here because that is what I do. I digress a lot. I shall continue. It's why I said I might be going as much as an hour today, because I knew this was going to be a long video and I have shit tons to say about it. And it's more interesting commenting on this having Dennis in there because he does have some funny things he says about it.
Should date somebody who looks her age, which is the most brain dead take I could ever have read in my entire life, because that would in and of itself be the very thing that many people are accusing Dan of, and people actually full-throatedly
she should date someone her age. So like, suppose hypothetically there's a dude who has the same condition as his pituitary gland went haywire, and so consequently he also suffers from stunted development physically. And so, like, if those two little kids get together and they're behaving like adults, what's wrong with that? Nothing technically as far as the law is concerned, but it still disturbs the mind because you see these what appear to be children there that are not children. You see those movies, like there was one with Fred Savage and Judge Reinhold where they switched bodies. There was one with Kirk Cameron and Dudley Moore where they switched bodies. Father like son was one of them. I can't remember the name of the one with Fred Savage, but it's like and big. So you have Tom Hanks, who was a little kid who became an adult. It was a child with a mind in the adult body of Tom Hanks, and he wound up screwing a lady. And so isn't that pedophilia? Because the child mentally inside of this hypothetical situation was like 12. And this lady didn't know that he was a little kid, I don't think, in the movie Big, you know? So it's an interesting thing to ponder philosophically about all these people. Got to keep going here, Paul. You're talking too much.
Katie, for that,
I still have very much to say. I'm not going to kid you. This is going to be a long one today. This will be ripe with clips here today because I think it's very intriguing. This is the money segment of this show today.
Anyway, batshit craziness.
And thank you to you for bringing this to my attention. I'm glad I followed Def. I knew eventually I was going to want to talk about a video from this guy, and this topic is just like my mind going, whoa.
Let's move on and actually see how
3 minutes.
Shauna and
I'm not
Dan
even a quarter of the way
Dan is
through.
in town for a couple weeks, so we're going to use the time to get to know each other.
Oh,
How
come
often do you
on.
guys talk? Every day.
Look how
recently?
young she is.
So-
The voice and everything, it's troubling to me. She sounds like an 18-year-old, or 8-year-old. She looks like an 18-year-old or 8-year-old. Jeez Louise. Is that some kind of Freudian slip? She should have had the pituitary flaw when she was 18 to 21, and then she would have stayed young-looking, perfect age forever, and then you would be more valid telling people to shut up. But now she's this little child, and these adults here. Where's the real father? What's his opinion of this? This is just the stepfather, but understandably, you want to be protective of what is not a child but appears to be a child. I still haven't gotten to some key points I want to make as we go. I need to shut up.
Dan and I
Excuse
have kissed. I'll just put that out there.
Oh my God,
That's
just
troubling.
So sweet. She's in love, folks.
And look how they put her between those two people there, okay?
I have kissed.
See how, look, it always is like they're creating a cinematic juxtapose where you get that extra shock of look how tiny she is, look how young looking she is. It's just shocking.
Just put that out there.
Oh my God, that's just so sweet. She's in love, folks. And love is the most pure thing.
You say it's sweet, but I don't know why it troubles me because I think I can't help but feel like the guy is a creep. And I'm not saying people shouldn't be nice to her, but dating her, oh Lordy.
That a human being can experience. And I know that there is a segment of folks out there who say, this is creepy, this is gross, but
yes,
look,
I'm kind of
the
in
way
that.
she's talking about this.
I'm not adamant. I understand the nuance of the situation, but I kind of feel creeped out by a guy who's just like going after that. Like he feels like it's a free pass for pedophilia legally, but you're still going to get the hate. Of course you're going to get the hate from people. I wouldn't trust that guy around children. Because she's so childlike that it's disturbing to me.
Seems so pure.
And it's partly because she hasn't been allowed the independence. And I'll go in to make this point. She is, so here's the point. She's obviously had stunted growth physically. It's affected her voice. It's affected her physical growth. What has the same hormonal imbalance caused by her faulty pituitary gland caused in the way of not maturing the way you're supposed to mature, going through puberty and experiencing that growth cognitively because all those hormones and special body functions that make you grow up, what is she lacking in mental acuity, cognitive behavior? For the same reasons her physical body didn't grow, what hasn't matured in her because of the condition, mentally, cognitively, emotionally, all of the above? And I'm not saying she should be deprived of love. I actually feel sympathy for the situation, but I can't just go, oh, you're 23, it's cool. It's not the same situation as someone who has dwarfism, obviously. Dwarfs grow and they look their age. They go through puberty. Their voice changes. And a lot of parents who raise dwarfs, interestingly, encourage their independence. And I don't think that's happened with this little girl. So she's maintained the maturity of a child because she hasn't been let off the leash. And still, it's scary to do that because the dwarf looks like an adult. You don't mess with an adult, but a child looks like a child. People try to take advantage of children. It's entirely different.
From the family dynamic.
And I'm not trying to offend anyone who's a dwarf. Don't misunderstand me at all. I'm just trying to illustrate an example of something, compare it to something. It would be much better to be a person who's a dwarf who looks their age than it is to be stuck in the body of an 8-year-old in this kind of situation. This poor young person is probably never going to find a situation that isn't troubled by the controversy of looking like a little child and pursuing an adult relationship, an adult sexual relationship. Tell you the truth, we have kissed. It gives me cringy feelings like something is wrong, even though legally nothing is wrong. I go back to that example of Tom Hanks in the movie Big. He was a 12-year-old in the body of an adult, and he screwed a lady. Is that not wrong? If that were possible, would that not be wrong? And if the lady knew, I can't remember in the storyline if she did, that would be wrong. It would be like, you're having sex with a kid. Yeah, he's in the body of an adult, but emotionally, mentally, maturity-wise, it's wrong. God, I can't stop talking. I'm only 3 minutes, 50 seconds into this.
Framed in the show.
I knew I would have a lot to say about this.
Person, her family really goes.
I just need to let it play, and I need to talk over it sometimes.
Because of this unique disability that she has, and honestly, that just melted my heart. The way that she talked about, oh, we kissed, like it is just so incredibly
it doesn't
sweet.
Melt
you
my
can
heart.
tell that
there's this sweetness, and then it also makes me extremely nervous. Like something's wrong here.
Just wants to experience love regardless of the form that it comes to her as. So it's really heartbreaking to see the discourse that happens online, which tries to just frame every suitor who is interested in her as the worst thing possible.
I'm not necessarily doing that, but I still think there's something wrong with a man who actively goes after that, and he's trying to justify, like, hey, everybody shut up. This is okay. There are circumstances that make this a different situation, and I don't trust these guys. I can't help it. I can't trust these guys.
At the end of the day, this woman
They shouldn't be trusted around children, is what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I just feel that way. Because the topic here is the overt sexualization of a very small child. That's the topic. Mr. Man dates an 8-year-old woman who's actually 23. When we talk about the topic of exploitation of this topic, this subject matter with this young woman, you're taking advantage of her too with a title like that. I'm not going to give my my title today will probably be something like interesting. Just watch. And it like won't get clicks because man dates an 8-year-old woman. So like that's when I saw that last night, I was like, what? WTF?
Of love, because she is a woman.
There's other places more.
Now you're saying that because of chronological age. When there are 12-year-old girls who've gone through puberty, and they look like 18 to 20 years old. Do you call that a woman? It's a young woman of some kind, but I still refer to it as a girl. And so it's really hard for me to call this young woman a woman, even though I did the same thing. I'm not criticizing you, Dennis. I'm just saying this throws us all for a loop mentally.
Exciting in Long Island, but we'll come back to see you.
I see Shauna as this incredible 23-year-old woman who just happens to be a little bit short.
I'm not part of that group.
We can keep exploring.
If you even heard what I just
Island,
said,
or
go back and listen.
We could explore somewhere else.
Dan wants to travel with me in the next couple of months.
I think Europe's a nice first.
It would even make a difference to me if she had a grown woman's voice. It's the infantile voice that just freaks me out.
He seems like a relatively nice guy.
It freaks me out when grown women talk with an infantile voice.
Sit in her. He wants to take her on trips. I mean, it's very hard to tell who this person is from these small little clips that TLC is showing us.
I'm not really irritated by my family when they bring up those future questions. I haven't talked about it with Dan. I'm kind of letting it go as it may. But it's nice to kind of try to see if he can answer it. Why do we have to label anything?
So it's a question mark, or
it is whatever happens, happens.
This is a very unusual dynamic right here. TLC.
How does she gain her independence in this situation? That's tough.
She's setting up these family confrontations where they're having the.
So, I'll point one thing out really quick, that aging is still going to happen with this young person. So she's going to age, and she's not going to look as much like a little kid. She's going to get wrinkles. She should smoke cigarettes. That'll speed it right up. Smoke a pack of Marlboro. I'm just kidding. But she will eventually age and look more her age. And I don't know if there's nothing she can do to lower her voice that I'm aware of. I don't know if she can train it differently. I don't know if there are hormones that could cause her voice to develop. I'm surprised they didn't want to supplement her with certain hormones, or maybe there's a medical reason why they didn't. It could spark the cancer again or something. This topic is interesting as fuck to me, okay?
Grill her on her dating life. I understand this kind of stuff when you're in high school and even younger when you're meeting someone, but Shauna's 23 years old. When I was 23 years old, my parents tried to butt in on my life and ask me...
Apples and oranges, bro. Did you look 8 years old when you were 23 years old? It's a strange comparison. Like, it's not the same thing. Because we're just isolating out chronological age.
Many pointed questions about who I'm dating, why I'm dating them.
And ignoring the rest of the circumstances. You're reflecting on your normal experience. Her experience is way outside the norm. Dude.
Just tell them to go to hell. There are boundaries. Somebody at 23 should be allowed.
So you're saying she should be allowed to tell her parents to go to hell, but there's still a situation here that is entirely different. Okay? Jeez. We can't just equate the two. I just said it. You're isolating out the circumstance of the chronological age when there are so many other circumstances in this situation that make it way out of the norm. So you can't just equate it. It's a false equivalency to say when you were 23.
Whoever the fuck they want. Now, of course, it's understandable that Shauna's parents are going to be a little more protective of her because they are concerned about her situation. However, I don't think they're doing her any favors.
Are you doing her a favor with the title of your video here? Man dates 8-year-old woman. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Do you guys see that over here? Man dates 8-year-old woman. Man dates 8-year-old woman. She's not an 8-year-old, and right now the point you're making is that when you were 23, so it should be okay for her, but the title of your video is exploitation.
Being so overprotective in this case, I think it's also important to call out TLC in this situation because they are very clearly doing everything they can to infantilize her and generate more outrage.
That's what you're doing with the title of your video. You're infantilizing her. She's not an 8-year-old woman. She just looks like one. You're doing the same exact thing. Except you're not framing the cinematography. You're pointing it out. You're noticing it. But what you're doing right there is like moral equivalent of exploiting her the same way you're saying, call out TLC. I'm calling out you. My title to this video will not be exploitative today. Differing with, I'm not knocking you personally. I'm just saying, come on, dude.
All these situations by having these family confrontations, the framing where they usually sit Shauna between two larger family members. There's clearly some creative, artistic vision.
We both noticed that exact same thing there about the way they make her look infantile, putting her next to big people, and they're framing it on purpose to look that way to get the biggest bang for their exploitative buck.
Been implemented to try to really, really poke at how Shauna appears and how unconventional it is for her to do these normal things that people do, specifically through the lens of her being childlike and appearing to be a child. This extends from Shauna learning how to drive to her dating life. And honestly, I don't think it's doing Shauna any favors, especially if she wants to live a normal life, because, as I've said, she's an adult. She carries herself as an adult, even though she doesn't appear to necessarily be one.
You think that at some point you might settle down?
I will bring up my point again about how it stunted her growth physically. Obviously, it didn't. Her voice didn't change. She didn't get the hormones she had to get. So what has been lost in the way of cognitive development and emotional development by what's happened? It's sort of a tragic coincidental puberty blocker, what happened to her. And so she hasn't had the normal development, and she's also been treated socially by her parents with that protective situation. She's not been allowed to grow and become independent because everyone's so protective around her. You can't be so dismissive of this, Dennis. Come on. I know you're a smart guy. Stop being silly.
And kind of...
How come Dennis doesn't bother me nearly as much as Hunter? Hunter drives me fucking crazy. It's because I see something in Hunter, and I see myself in Hunter being a ding-dong when I'm younger. Probably, I think... I like Dennis as a young person better than I like Hunter as a young person. And this is some kind of weird self-loathing that I'm expressing to you. Hunter reminds me of my stupid self when I was younger. Dennis is just who he is, and he's amusing, and I don't agree with everything he says. There are some things he's way off base on, but he doesn't bother me nearly as much as Hunter. Plus, Dennis doesn't have the soy boy voice. I have a soy voice, okay? Shit.
Base yourself in one place and then travel when you...
I don't know, I'll see. I think traveling will always be a big part of my life. So I'll always be going somewhere. But
I'm not going to stress myself about the length of this, okay? I'm just going through this, getting a good recording. I might cut out just this one segment because I think it's, and I'll put it on the parts channel that I have, the clips channel. Okay, I don't know how old this one is, but look, she has a normal age. Is that Shauna's sister? How old is she? Because it would be less controversial walking around in public to people who just see you walking around with this young woman. I don't know how old she is, but I would feel less nervous interacting with her in a flirtatious way. I mean, I'm not saying I want to. I'm just saying she has an older look. She doesn't look 8, for Christ's sake.
I know.
Whoa.
I would not want Shauna to watch me, like, because tons of people are out there commenting. I'm not trying to be mean to her at all. I have the utmost sympathy for her situation. I get the situation as far as the details, and God knows her parents know. That's why they're so protective of her. They know that she looks 8, and this is an extraordinary, out of the norm situation, and they have to protect her. I'm so freaking redundant right now. But honestly,
if he's interested in Shauna, he's just going to have to get used to it, because this does seem like it's the family dynamic. They're going to be very involved in her life, especially in the person she chooses to be with, because they have a concern for her.
How do you vet a man? How do you vet a man with complete faith that, oh, trust me, I'm into your daughter's soul. It's not about the fact that she looks 8. How do you vet a man and have faith in that? No wonder they're freaking scared to death. I don't know her, and I'm scared to death.
It does seem like her family loves her a lot.
I believe in protecting the innocence of children, and there's something that is like, I'm calling her a child even though she's 23, because, like, it's a whack in the head. I can't think straight because it's so out of the norm. I'm just so redundant on that. I realize that.
They just need to learn how to back off and let Shauna experience some things on her own. But being kind of snippy and sarcastic back to them isn't really going to win any points. It's hard to concede that. It's partly true. Opinion.
Oh my God!
That's why there's that saying: when you marry someone, you're also marrying their family. So unless that's a dynamic that her parents enjoy, having this quip, I would say avoid doing that kind of shit so that you don't add any tension.
Curse my lack of perfection. I want to have one button tied into everything that turns everything on every single day. Fuck you. Not you, Dennis. This fucking thing I didn't turn on here. I'm critical of myself. Whenever a tiny detail is missing, I'm like...
Any roadblocks to you...
Toxic masculinity, I forgot something, dude!
Having a fun-loving relationship with Shauna, the person that you
Fun-loving.
love for the sake
Even
of the
that
show.
makes me
They're just
cringe.
rapid firing questions at you. Well, I guess what would be... yeah, I'm going to ask another one. questions.
So troubling.
What would be the expectation if you and Shauna...
Where's this going?
If y'all get along,
If something buds.
Yeah, if something buds, is the expectation like for her to travel with you or?
But yeah, one thing I'd love to gift to Shauna is the
Oh,
ability
it
to...
even creeps me out that he has the British accent. I'm sorry. You're doing a disservice to British people, sir, because your accent now accentuates the creepiness off you. Usually it's like this sign of civility. You love the British people. They're like, hello, would you like to have a cup of tea? I'm from Birmingham, and I used to work in a meat factory. No, not you, sir. I'd rather work in a meat factory and vomit every day than have a British accent and do what you're doing. I'm sorry I'm demonizing you if you're pure of heart, but it's hard to imagine you're pure of heart. I'm having trouble synthesizing the sympathy for you. Dude, I can't deal with it.
See the world in different cultures, different places, so I'd love to
take
show
her
her
around the
somewhere
world
amazing.
so someone somewhere will definitely want to kill me, you know. Go to pedophile-friendly countries and enjoy myself with this young woman who looks like an 8-year-old girl. Oh, yeah. And then like, oh my God. Because so much of sex is visual. So like, you're sexually attracted to someone who everyone acknowledges looks like an 8-year-old. It's just tragic. It's whack.
In the world.
I think Dan would be a really good match for Shauna because he's very smart, adventurous. Shauna's smart, not very adventurous. I think that he could pull her out of the comfort zone, but still make her feel safe.
That's actually kind of a surprising response. I have to respect the parents for this. They do seem like loving parents, even though they're a little helicopter-like.
What the hell are you talking about? Parents need to protect their kids, especially if they have a kid who is vulnerable. That person's vulnerable. Shauna's vulnerable, dude.
Gotta respect them for knowing when to give her space and allow her to go and do her own thing.
There's some truth to what you're saying, so I'm not like criticizing you personally when I say it. There's some truth to what you're saying. You got to give someone the freedom to live, and the situation is extraordinary.
Everybody should be allowed to live their own life. And I think that treating somebody differently just because they have a disability, whether...
Everybody should be allowed to live their own life. And I can tear that statement apart having nothing to do with this, that there are all kinds of people who are incompetent for all kinds of reasons. Grown adults are dysfunctional as fuck. And there wouldn't be government intervention with people if that weren't the case. Some people can't fucking deal. There are 40-year-old fucking people who can't get their shit straight. And so they're right to be protective of this young person.
Protect them or not is really something that can...
You're like playing the role of, I'm the hero making the case that she should be able to do whatever she wants. And like legally she has that right. If she wants legally, she can move out from her parents and do whatever she wants. But they are still right as a family to protect her. 23, looking 8 years old.
Reduce the quality of life for that person.
What?
This gets me warmed up.
So on your next
heated
break,
under the
would you like to dance?
Under the head here, I'm gonna explode.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
I've danced
Oh,
with
okay,
you.
she
No, you
wanted
didn't
to express her independence. She went and got a tattoo. Okay, let's look at that
Would you like to
tattoo
dance?
really quick.
I don't dance.
Okay, there it is. Zoom in on that. What is that? It looks maybe like angel wing. It looks maybe like two doves. Some kind of symmetry going on. She's like, I'm gonna get a tattoo. That doesn't make it okay. It makes none of this okay. It's hard for me to cope with this situation. Innocent should be protected. Protected. And she is not entirely developed. She looks like a child. Gross men want to be with her and just pretend like it's okay because chronological age makes it seem like it is, but it's not. Because of all the myriad of circumstances, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. She's not 8, she's 23. Dennis is exploiting her when he says a man dates an 8-year-old. Is she or is she not? You. Okay.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
I've danced with you last week.
No, you didn't dance with me. You danced next to me. That's a difference.
Okay. So we're not going to dance?
Fine.
No.
No, it's fine. I'll do it.
Okay. If there's not too much of a
I would
chore.
love to know everybody's thoughts. Like that
Hi, Dan.
bartender. That bartender right there. What is she really thinking? Oh, this is okay. No problem. She's 23. In actuality, she's 23, so it's okay. So people are going to sometimes feel pressure to go along with it. People are going to feel pressure sometimes to be like, no. Where do you fall on this? You got to acknowledge the complexity of both sides of this.
Bye.
Oh, that's actually kind of
And Dennis is all on the side of, go for it. Yeah, bro. You go hook up with her, bro. It's okay. She's 23. I saw her birth certificate. It's okay.
He's being a nice guy. He's being a gentleman. He's being courteous. He's being, very friendly.
Why
and
do I
nice.
cringe?
And honestly, I think that's what a lot of women could only hope for. There's so many guys out there that are just absolute fucking dicks. Anyway, with all that being said, Dan has been getting a lot of backlash on the internet ever since the show premiered. And this is what he had to say on Instagram.
I saw the first season of the show. I was
There's no way I would play the role of the guy wanting to date her in this show. If I were in this show, I would be articulating everything I'm articulating now, and I would not be the guy who's like, oh, it's okay, she's 23. Dennis, would you go on this show and would you go on dates with her just to show how it's okay? Dennis, are you attracted to her? Make a part 2 to this video responding to me. I fucking dare you. Like, would you go on a date with that girl? And would you feel 100% comfortable? Respond to me. Don't review my video. Don't even just respond to the questions. You don't have to, because you'll be like, oh my God, he's trying to siphon off all my listeners. No, we're just trying to have good dialogue here. We're all trying to be good content creators. We're all trying to get ahead. I like you, dude. Even though I don't always agree with you.
by her emotional strength. So I sent her some flowers and a card saying, go live your best life, wishing you all the happiness you deserve. Of course, I did the show knowing I was going to get some hate.
Now, beyond just the physical difference between Dan and Shauna, there are a lot of people questioning Dan's motives as to dating Shauna. A lot of people are saying he's a cloud chaser, that he was
my title to my video might be Cringe Me To Death.
On the television show. That's why he reached out. Now, at the end of the day...
So if Shauna were in the group, a group of people, like chaperones, all of them, no one take advantage of this little girl. We'll take her around the world. We'll see it. We'll all be nice. But I struggle with the idea of that guy taking her around the world and traveling with her. I'm just like, that's dangerous. No. Oh!
I think it's important to know that he does seem to make Shauna happy on the television show. She does seem very, very happy to be with him.
She's fucking attention starved. Love starved. If ever there were such a case because of her unique situation, is she ever going to really be able to have entire faith in the love connection she finds and gets herself into? You know what? If she were to date a dwarf, imagine, just consider what I'm saying here. If she was going around with a dwarf, people then would probably be able to like dismiss the situation. Oh, that's okay, because they would connect it to dwarfism or something. And I'm just saying she might find more acceptance in that group by the public at large who sees her as a couple. But if she's not attracted to dwarf people, she should still be able to like. So it's a fucking conundrum, dude. You said it right yourself, Dennis, when you said it was a conundrum.
To be having fun. I don't think his intentions are for anybody to judge. We don't really know what's in people's heart. Yeah, it's a little weird that he reached out to her in the manner in which he did after seeing television, but
I'm not going to reach out to her with the I want to meet you, date you. You know, I would talk to her. If she came on here, I would talk to her. I'd have a bunch of questions for her.
In many different ways and forms, folks. I don't think it's really valuable to sit here and judge how
I feel totally wrong being mean to her.
Became interested in another person and how they reached out. Also, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I don't think it's really that easy to get cast on a reality show like that. Just sending flowers and saying that you love the person doesn't automatically guarantee that you're going to be cast on the show as a love interest of that person, especially when it's probably one of the more popular shows on the network.
And as soon as you say that she can't have...
I bet you the producers had a whole bevy of guys that they looked through to see who would be the most interesting one to put on here. And if it's exploitative, if that's what they're doing, then they handpicked this dude, okay? To be the guy to cringe everyone like me and everyone like me to death. Cringe me to death!
A real world connection with someone else.
Real world. Because it's the real world when you're on a reality show on TLC. By golly, it's the bloody real world.
Dehumanize her, which is absolutely disgusting.
Absolutely. Absolutely, like 2 + 2 = 4 is in absolute truth. Absolutely. Absolutely is what you're saying. There's no doubt in your mind about that. That's true. It's absolutely disgusting and dehumanizing. But no, you, sir, are ignoring the unique circumstances of the situation.
She is a human being. She deserves.
Of course she's a human being. Why don't you continue? She has hair on her head. That's true. That's absolutely true based on the definition of the words. Unless we go and change the fucking definition of the words to say when you say someone has hair, it means they don't have hair.
Relationships and connections with whoever she wants, and I think some people aren't emotionally mature enough.
I'm not disputing that she shouldn't have her legal independence. It's just that the situation, man, everyone's dismissive of it, and it's like, I'm coming in trying to be chivalrous. I'm trying to defend her rights. She should be able to date and be with whomever she wants, but like, still ignoring the circumstances. Dismissing the circumstances, ignoring the nuance. Or maybe you talked to the nuance and they're just putting this up there and the music is all like glorious, like, yes, wonderful, feel good.
Rather just on looks.
He is 100% correct. There are love connections that are far deeper than just a surface level physical attractiveness, but don't get me wrong, physical attractiveness does play a big role in relationships. I would say that for the majority of people, they are usually initially physically, visually attractive.
I think if you found your dream woman, Dennis, if she were a gorgeous top 10 model and had an amazing personality, talking beautiful top 10 body, everything, gorgeous figure, gorgeous hair, gorgeous personality, old soul, wise, intelligent, industrious, like everything a man would truly want in a woman for you, okay? If she gained 500 pounds, you wouldn't love her in the same way. You would mourn something in that you were in love with, and it is part physicality. We can't deny the physicality of things here. The physicality matters. We can't just be dismissive of it.
To a person, and then all the other components kick in. Of course, as I said, we don't know what's in his heart. Perhaps he's the kind of person who is more attracted to her personality, and he doesn't even take her looks into account. Now, with all that being said, Dan has posted several videos like this on his Instagram. A few comments in response to Dan's videos have stood out. Here's one. I don't think it's a problem with Shauna wanting to date. It's more of it's odd that any grown man would find an 8-year-old body attractive. B, not everyone knows the background of the situation, so unless you walk around with a billboard attached to you explaining the unique circumstances, you will 100% receive some sort of reaction from the public.
Yes.
For the people out there saying to mind your own business, I would absolutely not want anyone minding their own business if they see a grown man being affectionate with a small-looking girl or boy.
Good point.
Under zero circumstances
Valid
should
point.
people look the other way if they saw that. I am sorry for Shauna's rare situation, though. Now, this comment obviously highlights the extent of the preoccupation that a lot of people have with the situation. A lot of people are equating it to pedophilia in one way or another because they're saying that Shauna
it's really
looks
hard
like
not to, and I'm not trying to be judgmental at the heart of it. Of course pedophilia is fucking wrong. Fuck you, Maps.
Year-old. If you'll remember from the trailer that we watched at the beginning of the show,
it depends how you define it, though, because we're talking about. I was talking earlier about a 12-year-old who looks like a 20-year-old. It's natural to be a man who like sees beauty and attraction in that, and it's wrong to go after things lustfully, especially when you know the truth about it. So we've defined what a minor is, but children are children, and the fact that she looks like a child is therefore. It's telling when a man is saying, "Oh yeah, I'm attracted to her." Of course, the person is an appealing person. You're endeared to the person the same way we're endeared to children for being good children. But like she's a child, and so it's hard for people to make that cognitive leap to the point where she should just be able to do anything she wants. It feels like she's direly vulnerable.
Specifically says that she looks like an 8-year-old. It's part of the show's premise that this.
She's vulnerable as she's a 23-year-old, and she's vulnerable in the same way that an 8-year-old is vulnerable for all the same reasons that an 8-year-old is vulnerable. And you can pretty much dismiss the 23 years old when you look at the aspects of what I'm talking about. How people try to hurt and take advantage of kids. She could be kidnapped just because she has a small stature and she's a female. More likely, someone would try because they think, oh, that's an easy target right there. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Person who's 23 and looks like an 8-year-old is going out and exploring the world and learning how to drive and going on dates. So the premise itself lends to this kind of speculation that this man being attracted to a woman who, according to this premise, looks like an 8-year-old is in turn a pedophile.
That's exactly what I was just getting at.
This whole situation around Shauna living a regular life and dating
So if it's okay for a man to date an 8-year-old or a 23-year-old that looks like an 8-year-old, what's the difference saying a man wanting to be with a 12-year-old who looks like a 20-year-old who's gone through all that physical development? Yes, it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm asking the question philosophically, because at least when you walk around in public with that person, they're going to see if she has the social skills of someone older. The 12-year-old that looks like a 20-year-old, people aren't going to look cross-eyed at it in the same way that they are a man dating a woman who looks like an 18-year-old when she's 23. Do you see what I'm saying? Where is the moral objection here? I'm just trying to, flesh it out intellectually. Flesh it out.
A quagmire. Because how the fuck is she supposed to find love if every man that approaches her is immediately going to be considered a fucking creep or a pedophile because of the very premise of the show that's trying to get her on dates? It's such a catch-22 because Shauna wants to find love. Shauna finds love. Immediately that love is labeled a pedophile because who else could be attracted to a person who looks like an 8-year-old but a pedophile?
But you're saying that there's a chivalrous man out there who's not looking like men are inherently visual sexually. And so the whole topic here is how she's 8 years old. Men are hugely fucking visual in the sexual realm. So that's why this bothers so many people, including me.
So sorry.
You can't just say it's okay because of the longevity. There are circumstances there.
Because as Dan himself stated, and as several other people have stated,
I'm a broken
she deserves
record
to find
here.
love, but she is in a very unique situation right now where her love life is being exploited for entertainment, and this whole situation has been framed.
Exploited for entertainment. Man dates 8-year-old woman title for your video.
This catch-22 quagmire.
And I don't think I'm here exploiting her. I'm honestly trying to talk about the topic insightfully. I don't think I've been horrendously over the top in the things I've said. A couple of things you say make me cringe. I'm trying to think if I said anything cringy or over the top on purpose here. I think I'm treating it delicately. I'm cringy when you talk about some dude wanting to F her earlier. Like, dude, what the hell? I'm disturbed, man.
For the sake of the benefit of this television show, I really do feel sorry for her because I don't think there's any way for Shauna to win in this situation unless she's not on the television show. As long as Shauna is on TV and dating for TV, it's going to be nearly impossible.
Yes. The fame is going to make the whole thing, it might make the whole situation much worse than if she had just stayed anonymous. And so is the family wanting attention here? Is that part of what's happening? Or are they... What is the purpose of the family wanting to go on TV and tell this story? Do they have that desire for the attention, to get mentioned, to be famous? Is there that self-centered drive there, is what I'm wondering.
For her to actually find love in the way that she's seeking. Because it's always going to come with part of her audience's assumptions and judgments as far as the suitor being potentially a pedophile who's secretly attracted to children and finding a legal way to express that attraction by dating Dennis. A 23-year-old. Anyway, folks, thanks so much for watching. I love all of you. Peace.
Hey, I say peace at the end. You don't say peace. Everybody says peace. Lots of people say peace. Dennis, truthfully, check out Def Noodles. He's got 500,000 subscribers, but I know some shit's happened where he fell out of favor, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how or why that happens. I know your history with the other show that mine resembles a little bit, physically resembles. This fucking resembles that other show. I like that exclamation there. I was influenced. I was inspired. I took that for my fucking self. So, all right, I want to wrap this up because it's gone super long. This is the longest recording I've done today. I like being able to test out the system, see if it works. The longer the recording goes, how the system is stressed and how the final recording functions. I will wrap this up right this minute, actually. I will start by saying thank you if you made it through this. If you like this topic right here, man, that's a topic. Woo. Subscribe to the channel if you like what I'm doing here. I get warmed up, and usually the shows get better toward the end, and I don't want to stop toward the end because I'm warmed up, and my mind is like firing on all cylinders. Subscribe to the show, like the video, share it with your friends. I appreciate all of that. Oh, Lord, that was a long one. I felt very passionate about that. It's good to have those things I'm passionate about. I express myself well in those situations. All right, everybody. I'm just going to procrastinate right to this musical switch right here. Take care. Peace be with you all. 8 years old. She's not 8 years old. But she sure looks like one. Peace.